Welcome to Audacity Works, a podcast inspired by and dedicated to the working artist, the creative entrepreneur, and generally, doing the damn thing. This exists on the premise that the world belongs to those who have the audacity to believe that their lives have value. This is for you. Welcome to Audacity Works. I am your host, Rachel Strickland, and this is episode number 156, and it's what I'm calling the Parable of the Stump. Mostly because I like it when things sound very grand, and also this year I read the Parable of the Sower and the Parable of the Talents, and those titles, they really got into my brain. Before I tell you the actual story, tiny reminder that there is a private room and a private bathroom available for the aerial Serpent retreat in Mexico in January. I really should buy my plane tickets for that, huh? Does anyone else just really loathe buying plane tickets? It's the only thing that No, it's not. That's not the only thing I procrastinate on. I hate going to the post office. So that's not useful to you, but now you know two things that I hate. I hate buying plane tickets, and I hate going to the post office. So if you ever get something in the mail from me, just know I love you. And it took a lot for me to get to that post office. So anyway, let's go on to the story. You can check the show notes for the link for Aerial Serpent. It's January 7th. No, it's not. It's January 10th through the 17th. I'm leaving all this in. I'm human. So here's what happened. You may know that my dad, Dr. Roy Strickland, he retired last year and we moved him here. So he's lived here for about a year and a half. And he stays in a tiny little camper that is on our property because we have a small acreage in South Carolina. Now, he's very happy in his little tin can, but I'm not. I want him to have more room. I want him to have a more permanent and safer living situation. So the plan is to build a permanent structure, basically build a tiny house. We've got the site picked out for it, have had the site picked out, and have been calling it Roy's Landing since we bought the place, because we always had a hunch, he's going to need to come somewhere, and he should be with us. He should be with his family. So the site's picked out. It's got a great view of the grove of live oaks. He's going to love it. And we've known this for years. But the thing that was in the way is this huge stump. I mean, it comes up to my waist, and it's got to be at least 3 feet wide. And it's not one of those stumps that, grew mushrooms and decomposed politely, as, a lot of stumps do. It's more like it petrified. It was such a big tree. We never saw the tree. It was cut down far before we arrived. It might even have been a huge cypress, maybe a live oak, because it's a lot, and it is dense, and it is big. So knowing that at one point we're going to need to clear that area, the stump was always the first thing that needed to go. And we've known that for ages. But it's a fucking stump, y'all. It's so big. It's just so deep, and we've hacked at it a little bit of hatchet, 3 different chainsaws just to see. And after half an hour of chainsawing, Manflesh had got maybe 4 inches into it. This is not gonna work. So it was really drawing energy out of us. Every time we looked at the damn stump, we're like, oh, the fucking stump. I don't want to deal with it. We're we'll deal with it later. We'll deal with it later. We'll deal with it later. Looking up things to do. You can drill holes in the stump and put some kerosene in there, and then very carefully burn it, which will take weeks of burning. And there's another thing you can do, or put some enzyme, some substance into the holes to speed up its decomposition and get rid of it that way. But then you still would need to dig out the roots, because as the roots eventually decomposed, if the house was built on top of them, then the foundation would crack, and there would be a vacuum would be formed. So this has been our first problem to solve for a very long time. The stump has been Everest. So fast forward to last weekend, okay? Begrudgingly, Dad and Manflesh headed out to the stump. I had a lecture to listen to, so I wasn't available to help them. And I finished my lecture, and I went outside expecting to find two very grumpy men hacking away or like pouring kerosene into this ancient petrified stump and just trying to chip away at it. I was prepared for their grumpy moods, and I was prepared to bring my own grumpy mood, because I was also going to get grumpy about it. So I walked outside, and I noticed, gee, this space looks awfully clear. And I look a little over to the right, and there's Dad, and there's Manflesh, and there's the fucking stump. It's been completely relocated. What? And when the two of them saw me, they held up their arms and like made muscles. I'm like, yeah, you keep doing that. You deserve that. So I was like, what the hell happened? And Manflesh told me that they were digging around the stump. And they're like, well, we're just going to have to dig it out, roots and all. It's going to take 1,000 years and a lot of back-breaking labor, but we have to get rid of this stump. And as he was digging, Manflesh was like, Doc, that's my dad. Doc, the stump is moving. Did you see that? And dug a little more, and you're like, yeah, it's moving. And come to find out, the roots have already rotted. And all it needed to be shoved along. So they threw a chain over it, attached it to the trailer hitch of the pickup truck. Oh my God, yes, I can hear myself. Gave it a little tug with the truck, and it flipped right over. And then they just rolled it away. It weighed about 500 pounds, so it needed to be handled very carefully while on its side. But they just rolled it away. And then it was gone. And then it was done. Something that we expected to take weeks of backbreaking labor and irritation and frustration was done in 30 minutes. Clearing the way for us to finally get serious about beginning construction on this tiny house. The point of this story is that sometimes shit's going to be way easier than you think it is. And it gets built up in our heads, and it becomes this like behemoth of a problem. Like, oh God, this is going to be such a pain in the ass. It's going to take forever. It's going to take so much of my time and energy and labor. And then it doesn't. And you're like, why the fuck did I put that off for so long? Like, who among us has not had this experience? Take my stupid aversion to the post office. Like, I will have a gift for someone for sometimes a year or more sitting on the dresser in my office with a very heartfelt note already written, sometimes in hand calligraphy ink, and it's all ready. I just have to take it to the fucking post office, and I don't because I'm like, oh, it's gonna be awful. I hate the post office. I'm gonna get that one guy who's like stupid, and it's his first day on earth, and he's never seen paper before, and it's just gonna take 1,000 years. I'm gonna be late for everything else, and I don't do it, and then I do, and I'm in and out in 5 minutes. You're like, damn, I wish I had done that 7 months ago when I picked out this gift. In this way, the stump and the post office, they are gremlins, right? They're such good metaphors because gremlins are liars. And that's one of their core tenets, is that they're not based in empirical data. They're based in feelings that we're not willing to experience, like rejection or judgment or failure. You're like, well, if you want to avoid those things, you should definitely not be pursuing this cool shit that you want to do. But they're not actually based in reality. They're based in emotions that we are unwilling to face, experience, etc. And sometimes the stump is going to take ages. And sometimes the post office is going to have a really long line. But sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that hard. And we're going to be shocked at how easy it was to do the thing. It happens. So this week in the Audacity Project is week 6, and this is where we tackle money and set rates. And you could be like, oh, okay, just set your fucking rates. No, because money is so loaded and it's so deeply entrenched. Like the things that we have traditionally the most complicated relationships with are money, food, and sex, because their roots, see what I did there, go really deeply and they can't be ignored. You have to understand the landscape in which your beliefs and your feelings, and especially your unconscious beliefs about money, are going to affect how you run your business and how you sell your art, if you do sell your art. And that's what brings me to my final example. Because I can tell, you don't really believe me. You're like, okay, it's just a stump and it's just a post office. Here's another example. And this one is real world and was very scary for me. When I first created the Audacity Project, I built it for my first paying student at $50 a week. I quickly realized it's just not enough. It's way too much one-on-one time for me, so I raised it to $75 a week. This came to $650 US for the 8-week course. And this is a very high-touch program. So I had kept it that way for 3 years. Yes, I was worn out. Yes, I was trying to have 5 cycles a year because I had to. Because the price was so low, I had to do it over and over again, and it required a great deal of one-on-one hands-on management from me. I got some coaching, and it became very clear. Like, she set me down, and she's like, look, you are massively undervaluing this offering that you have, and you need to increase this price significantly. I'm like, okay, what should I increase it to? And she said $2,000. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And what we did land on was $1,200, really $1,100 if you pay up front. And if you're on the wait list, you get $100 off of that. So that was better. But this was extremely scary for me to go from a $650 price point to $1,000 price point is a big jump. And I'm not even going to go into unnecessary price hikes because that's not what this was. This wasn't like Kit raising their prices for no goddamn reason, or all of the other software that I use that is like, guess what? We're more expensive now. It's not going to benefit you anymore. We're just more expensive. Like, okay, this was actually a necessary price increase. One, the product was incredibly undervalued at its original price point. Anyway, it was necessary. But as a solopreneur and a business owner, it was terrifying. Like, you can guess the gremlins. People are going to think I'm greedy. They're going to think I'm out of touch. They're going to come after me with pitchforks. They're going to troll me in the comments, blah, 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 blah. And I put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off because it was just too scary and the risk seemed too great. Until I finally did it, and I just quietly changed the price. I didn't explain it. I didn't say anything about it. I just launched as usual, and no one said a damn thing about it. I am not convinced anyone even noticed. My cycle filled up, and I was so grateful that I didn't have to work so hard through the year for the same amount of money. So I was so happy to give very generously to the people that had come through my door and take care of them because they were taking care of me. And shocking myself, it ended up being easy. So that's the question I want to leave with you today. Like, where might it be easy? Like, what if it were easy? There is some quote, I'm not even going to look it up. It's just floating around my head. So I'll give it to you the way it's floating around my head, which is to leave room for the unimaginable. It's straight out of a fortune cookie, but it does have value. Similarly, I shared something on my stories last week. It was, if you're going to overthink something, at least think about all the ways that it could go right. By no means is it guaranteed to be easy. By no means is it guaranteed to go well. But it has just as much of a chance of surprising you in a positive way as it does, all of your fears and gremlins being confirmed. It is human nature to look at risk and change and possibility through a lens of self-protection. Like, how can I keep myself safe? Obviously, this is nervous system 101. How can I keep myself safe? How can I avoid pain? But what if it wasn't going to be this painful slog that we fear that it is? What if it ended up being so much easier than you thought? Maybe it will be hard, but what if it were easy? And I find that if I can put on these goggles, this perspective, then tasks that I want to avoid on my to-do list for whatever emotional reason I don't want to face, if I can put on those goggles and be like, okay, what if this ends up being really easy? It could happen. And then it ends up feeling more like a fun game, like to do shit that I didn't really want to do, but I want the outcome. And if it's not, then yay, I get another stamp on my rejection card. I've got 4 right now, so I need 6 more. I'm looking at the time. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode today. I just wanted to tell you the story about the stump because I was shocked. I was flabbergasted. Like, how could this have ended up being so easy and so simple? And it just got me thinking, like, yeah, sometimes it is easy. Lots of times it's hard. It's human nature to expect it to be hard, but what if it fucking wasn't? What if it was not that big of a deal? And we could just try it, and maybe it dissolves under our fingers and it's fine. So there you have it, my friends. The parable of the stump, also of the post office, also of a terrifying price hike that ended up being totally fine. Totally fine. What if it were easy? If you have requests for future episodes, I would love to hear them. In fact, my list is growing thin again, so please don't be shy. You can reach me always on Instagram at Rachel Strickland Creative or on Patreon at Rachel Strickland Creative. This podcast is powered by Patreon, so extra shout out and high fives to my amazing patrons for making this podcast possible and for making a hell of a lot else possible and in a better way than I could do it on my own. Thank you. Thank you for standing with me. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for your support and generally being dope, wonderful humans. If this was helpful to you, the biggest compliment that you could give to me would be to share it with someone else. Until next time, my friends, remember, it might surprise you and it might be easy. Don't go back to sleep.